2023 was a good year for the container and raised bed garden. Most things were brought back for 2024, but a few were not. Let's take a look at the yays and nays. It's springtime, y'all. Here I am with Shelby, my manager of quality control. Let's get started gardening and worming and composting and building stuff well, you know, there's just lots to do this time of year. Here's what I've been up to this spring. Let's start by speeding things up a bit. I'm going to clear off all of last year's stuff and start anew. Can you believe working in February in a t-shirt? What great weather. I'll start with the small stuff and then the GreenStalks, which were so successful last year. Oops, my camera umbrella fell down and I didn't notice. I'm glad that's over, Shelby. Let's take a break before moving on to the next project. The break is over, Shelby. If you're 80 years old, don't get down on the ground without a plan to get up. My garden stool comes in handy as I lay new weed block fabric. This weed block is non-woven layer on top and a woven fabric on bottom. Links to both of these items are in the description below. I did put down a double layer of the weed block, hoping it will last a few years. Now I'll staple the weed barrier to the fence to keep the weeds from growing up between the fence and the weed barrier. There you go, Shelby, and you look great lying on that new weed barrier. I'll bet it's not so cool this summer. Oh no, did George build himself into a box? I hope not. Maybe he has bigger plans. George, do you actually have a license to operate that thing? George, where are you? Oh, there you are. Both George and his daughter have bad iffy backs. That is why we enjoy container and raised bed gardening. This is the new 4-foot by 8-foot by 3-foot raised bed that they built together. The bed is 3 feet high and the overhead arbor is 6 feet high. The horse water trough makes a wonderful raised bed container, and they were brought back for 2024 in a new 3-tier configuration using concrete blocks to support the levels. This saves a lot of floor space compared to 2024's arrangement. Here's my new Amazon Basic 12-sheet paper shredder. It will also shred most corrugated box thicknesses. It will supply all of my worm bins with bedding, and I'm finding other uses. Worms? Really now, worms? Yep, George is adding a couple of red wiggler worm bins to create worm castings for the garden. They will be fed table scraps, powdered wild bird seeds, and those Amazon boxes. Look for a separate video coming soon. As if 3,000 worms didn't create enough compost, a Craigslist find, barrel composter, has been added for 2024. It also will be fed Amazon boxes, table and yard scraps. Here's a nifty toy that George picked up in the off-season. This Wen 41121 chipper does a keen job on these invasive trumpet vines that have been problematic. It will take branches up to 1.5 inches. Watch for a full review coming soon. George has already chipped 2 totes full to use for mulch. The 3-horse troughs are definitely coming back for 2024 and will be ready as soon as I get the new weed block installed. Sure glad I have my garden stool for projects like this. Underneath that bouquet of bubblegum petunias is a self-wicking 5-gallon bucket that I only watered once a week. I bought the petunias in early spring and they flashed their beautiful color until fall. George originally made these Dollar Tree Stackable as a bird bath, but what a mistake he made. In the heat of summer, it became a wonderful aisle of entertainment as a bee watering hole. Yep, it's back for sure. Yes, George is bringing this versatile Dollar Tree stackable planter to serve as a rooting station. It will be placed in a shaded area. It worked so well last year when I needed to root some plants. Because of all the surface area that is moist, the humidity stays high around the cuttings. George is not bringing back the self-water wicking trays with ginger for the spring of 2024. Last year was a disappointment as far as production of ginger was concerned, although it was a beautiful plant. George does recommend trying it if you have a shady place that needs something green. He think he left it in the sun too long before he realized that it would do best in the shade. He just didn't have a shady enough spot for it. Ginger also needs lots of fertilizers. If you want to review the water wicking trays that George made for the ginger, use the link above.